Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Aged Out Reacts with the two hosts of the Aged Out podcast, Mike Fantini
Evan Worrell.
and today is another one of our videos from post WGI 2023 Percussion in Dayton at the end of April like 21st, 22nd. We're doing GMU indoor, George Mason University, another group that we really didn't see a whole lot from during the season. Waited, and nothing came out to react to, so we said, screw it. There'll be footage from finals. We'll throw them in with a few others we didn't have time to get to. And we love Dan and Travis Peterman, Dan Shack, and the rest of their team. We know them really well. We like what they do over there on the East Coast. So, yeah, I'm excited for today. But before we jump in, make sure you subscribe, comment, like the video, the spiel, social media, Instagram, Facebook, patreon.com. Click the join button on YouTube if you want to support us financially. Also, it's an easier option. Only option is 99 cents. We just traveled to Dayton for finals, hotels, travel fees, all that good stuff, tickets. But if not, we appreciate the viewership all the same. Check out the podcast on all podcast services, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. There we go.
All the things.
I still don't know how I don't use a script for any of that. I mean, I guess if you listen to them, it's a little bit different every time, and I'll get caught up in my words, but I feel like it's
muscle
part of the
memory.
Fun.
Muscle memory.
It honestly is becoming muscle memory. I've pseudo memorized most of it at this point. I mean, what have we done? 80 something reactions probably now across three. I think we started reactions 2 years ago because we didn't do them for a long time.
I think we're up to 90-ish podcast episodes and another, handful of reaction videos. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Thank you, Vic Firth,
size.
for the great video. Go check out Vic Firth's YouTube channel, as well as everybody else that takes all the awesome coverage. Innovative people, George Collins, Robert Martinez, Alexander Nguyen. Is it Nguyen or Win? Which one is it?
Nguyen, I believe.
Nguyen.
Who is always funny because everybody's like, Alexander Nguyen, shout out.
Yeah, right. Everybody loves it. Who else is there? Marching vlogs, if we missed 5 is 1 marching arts, Drumline AV, Drumline Archives. Go subscribe to everybody. We need this content. We love this content. You got to give them a reason to keep filming and traveling to these shows. All right. I'm tired of looking at the Vic Firth logo because it's so bright in my face. Here we go.
2023 production capsule.
What he said. Before we let this really get going, I got to point out, you and I said it watching them on finals on the floor. Even the solo quad player by himself just didn't sound that loud. Now that I'm looking closer, are those shallower quad shells?
I don't know. You said that before we started just sampling through, and they do look shorter as far as the depth of them. So I'm not sure if that contributed to it. It was hard to hear the tenor line in person. And we had a pretty good vantage point. So.
Yeah, so if anyone knows if they actually had shallower shells on their quads this year, let us know. Or Dan Travis, text us, one of the two.
I love these hand drums, though, in the front.
Clean solo sweeps.
They also sound very low right here, but that was a statement. That was a statement I made for a lot of quad lines, though. The quad pitch, for my personal preference,
needs to be
is low across the board this year. It doesn't quite get up into the mid voice.
Yeah.
So
it gets swallowed up a little bit.
You can hear Pulse's quads really well.
RCCs, I thought you could hear pretty well.
RCCs, the X quads, you could hear them well, but they're still a little low to me. Although I'm not a quad drummer, so take that with a grain of salt.
We might get roasted by quad players in the comments, but
But if you can't hear it, you can't hear it.
That's true. So, all right. I will point out in that quad feature, that opening feature, this rep at least, I didn't hear a single rim.
That is a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't hear one at first, but I was like, are they gonna? Because usually even the top quad lines, you'll still hear one random rim somewhere.
I remember hearing on a Tate's Creek indoor tape one year that I was in it. It was a Scott Johnson tape. He said, if it's dirty, it means you can't play it together. If you're hitting rims, it means you can't play it, period.
But didn't also Dean Hickman, quad player, BD, ex quad player, say rims aren't that big of a deal to quad
He
players.
did say, he's like, I have learned to care less and less about them as people attempt to explore like what's possible on the instrument. So
that's a good
there
point.
is that.
That's a
which
good point.
I do like risk.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's actually let this play and check out what GMU's doing.
Some wide intervals there in the hands.
Nice run on the vibes.
Full ensemble run.
Yep. It's a big spread out form. It's a big blob, like but they're pretty far
front
apart.
Front to back, yeah.
Yeah. Some small stuff in there, but that form, yeah, just to reiterate, that form they're in, like, they had a big battery. It was 5 quads, 10 snare drums, and I think they weren't one of the 6.
I think 6 basses.
Did they have 6?
No, I think it was 5. We'll see.
I thought they had 5. A lot of groups had 6, but
yeah, I think they were 5.
Big battery. They were in that blob form, really far apart from each other. So
5 or 6 cymbals.
And like you said, front to back stout. With that three stack. So.
Very tasty out at the halfway point. With the pick tips, looks like. I love the integration of the rim texture, just the timbre change.
They had some back sticks in there, rim, and you get a different texture with back sticks too, and high moms and all that stuff, and then you throw rims in there. It just really adds variety to the sound.
I do still stand by this show as just hella entertaining.
I loved it. Live, it was fun. The audience got into it, loved the different, like, just this Johnny B. Good song. You have the Eminem song coming up. Like
the very periodical choreography that was done to it, too, just underneath, like, the kind of swing dancing and stuff. It was clever.
And this show was meant as a little bit of a satire show at the same time, right? As in, kind of like, here's our ballad that we have to have in indoor. Here's our opener, and then here's the more aggressive kind of closer. Like, we're just going to make a satirical statement about what you're supposed to do.
Whether or not they meant it that way, it certainly came across that way.
Yeah, that's how I took it a little bit, at least.
Now playing Johnny B. Good, 1958.
And the members really kind of sold each vibe of the 3 period pieces, the front, first, second, and third movement.
Yeah, just the stylistic change here.
I did like how they used the cymbal line with the snares here during this one, too. This was really cool, I thought, too. Creative. Like, you see stuff like that done, like, in college marching bands, but you don't really see it in indoor, so I loved how they, like, brought it onto the indoor floor. It was kind of cool.
Definitely a crowd favorite.
Yep.
Great crowd reaction.
Now playing Waltz of the Flowers, 1892.
And just obviously the show itself lent itself to a lot of variety and just built-in stylistic changes, which was cool.
They did get to have a lot of variety of how's the comp box defined again? It's like it's not difficulty, but it's like variety
orchestration.
Of demand.
I threw all those papers away, but I had them printed out.
The different styles in the show though allows you to really run the gamut of that kind of stuff.
And like leaning into the ballet stuff, the paired dancing.
with the tasty like bass feature over top of the front. His 5, yeah.
Lots of bend and pull with the tempo.
I thought they wrote really well segmentally within these 3 pieces in their show. Like you had that snare moment with the pick tips, just the snare line, now this bass moment with the front. Yeah.
Jump, bum, bum. I thought they nailed this part on finals night.
They did. It sounded really good. They nailed that edge part right there, too, in the lot.
Dude, I think this was the part where they did the moonwalk.
I think.
It was right here somewhere. Woo!
Admittedly, I never noticed what the marimbas were playing there during that. That was dope. Just camera put it in my face. That was cool as hell. Threes for days. Turn this up a little bit.
Things on their wrists? What are they playing with?
I think so. Their thumbs. I think it's on their thumbs.
I don't think I picked up on that.
I did not.
That's pretty cool
though.
So articulate, but so soft at the same time. Back to like a very tribal like vibe. Chance to record their own thing. Woo! Nice. Bass run there.
This whole ending brace has been pretty solid.
They play really well at the edge.
I was getting ready to say, I was going to point that out. Beat me to it.
I don't want to say this in like a negative way, but I think their edge touch might be better than like the center of the drum touch.
We've made too many of these together because I was sitting there, I was like, I'll let them finish this phrase before I talk about how well they play at the edge. And they, a lot of the moments, just so my face is not so bright, we'll back up for a sec. And I'm not blinded by my computer monitor. Dude, I had the same thought. Every time the snares played at the edge, I was like, that sounds a lot cleaner. That they're holding on a little more. I don't know if their tops were really low and soft and like fluffy, but it just seems like the touch at the edge was really good. I don't know.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, at least it cut a little bit more
for sure
for this video. I mean, and I would say too, like I remember very vividly on finals night them hitting that like Eminem stuff, like the snare.
It was little, like, very good on the floor.
Jump rolls.
Very, very good on the floor.
This show still was great. I think ultimately they probably would have placed a little bit higher if there was just a little bit like a bump up
in
of
clarity.
the overall like ensemble clarity.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad saying that. I mean, it was a great show still, and they played really well. But there's a couple moments that were given up, and and then just things like just being able to hear the show in totality from where we sat, which again is where we sat, but I feel like we had a pretty good vantage point.
We were like 4 rows behind the music judges, so right behind them. So pretty much the same read they got. Yeah, there were some issues here in certain parts of their show, and just
they weren't alone, but just trying to keep it genuine and honest.
We said it on what was the last one we just did? We uploaded it today. United
or Connexus. No, we did 2 yesterday. So
well, we're recording this the day the United video went out, but whatever. United wasn't perfect either. Nobody this year was perfect. I thought if GMU was a little cleaner, they definitely would have had the show to finish a few spots higher. But again, top 10 is nothing to sneeze at. Like, everybody wants to win and keep progressing and moving up every year, but that
cutthroat.
That's 6 through 10 range, 6 through 11, 12 range is cutthroat, man. All those groups are really on very similar levels in terms from year to year of the level of quality they put on the floor at finals, and you're splitting hairs. Just like you're splitting hairs between the medalists, you're splitting hairs between that next group of groups. And you saw we might have a crack in the system. Like, the average might be getting so much better that we saw Infinity beat Mystique this year. I mean, we've seen it. X was beat by Matrix
RCC.
that one year. About
2017.
5-6 years ago. Did RCC finish 6th one year?
No. I didn't think so. Talking about this year, but
no. But so you're seeing things like that happen, and I think you're going to see more of the groups in that 6 through 10 range have years where it's like, oh, one of the top annual medalist groups is slacking this year, having a slightly off year. You might see them get beat, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome for the activity competitively.
And not to get like full podcast mode, but I think part of that too is kids are just moving less to do groups because it's expensive.
Yeah.
There are still kids that move for ensembles, but like,
I would argue,
I think it happens less just because it's expensive to do.
On top of the money, you also have, because that next level of groups is getting so much better, there's less incentive. You know you're going to be in a really solid ensemble, not moving from Pennsylvania to Ohio to try to do X. You're more incentivized and more rewarded, like, oh, this group's still going to be really good, and I can save a bunch of money, not have to move for a winter. Like, as those groups below the usual medalists continue to get better and improve their product and output and experience for the members, which they've all been doing, you're going to see less people move to do those medalist level groups year after year, which I think is great. Again, I love to see
parity in the activity is great.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So, all right, this is not a podcast. We will not get all the way into that. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We love GMU's show this year. We love the guys and girls that run and teach that ensemble. Always enjoy seeing what they do every year. We'll see everybody in the next one. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, subscribe, comment. You guys know the drill.
Peace.